Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from a brand I've reviewed a number of pens from over the years. It's a brand I have generally really enjoyed. It is Ensso. Ensso is an American pen brand, very much inspired by the Italian golden age of fountain pens. In fact, the model we're looking at today is directly inspired by that. It is the Italia. Now, a little while ago, I reviewed this pen, which is the Italia in the titanium finish, and I really enjoyed this pen. I love the form and function of the pen. I loved the the design and some of those like little aesthetic choices. And so this is quite a heavy metal pen, and so I was really excited when they came out with this. This is the Italia in the Ultem material. Now, Ultem has become a very popular material of late for fountain pens, and driven by a couple of particular pen makers, and a lot of brands have kind of picked it up and incorporated their designs using this material. And this is not the first pen that Ensso has created with this material. They also did a version of their the little XS pen, this is the copper version, but they did sort of one like this with the Ultem as well. This is a really unique, fun little pen. Posts and caps on little O-rings and everything. And it's a small pen, but it's an effective pen. But I really wanted to look at this Ultem version of the Italia. My only issues with the original Italia, in the long-term issues, I should say, were I wasn't sure whether the weight would be for everyone because it is a heavier pen. And then there's always that thing of like metal on metal in terms of, like the noises and things like that I know a lot of people really don't enjoy. But this pen, writing with this pen, the feel of this pen, absolutely divine. So today I'm going to talk about the parts and features of the Ultem Italia. I'll do a size comparison, writing sample, and then talk about some pros and cons. So firstly, what exactly is Ultem? Well, Ultem is an engineered plastic. It's known as PEI, and it comes with this very unique and distinct amber kind of color. It's a material that is praised primarily for things like its strength and its chemical and heat resistance. And it's often used in, industrial uses, including things like components of jet engines and things like that. So I kind of think fountain pens is the perfect, perfect step for this material. The Ultem version has this black clip, which is PVD coated, and it's in a matte clip, which I think is very sharp. But yeah, we'll talk about all the parts and features starting at the top. So it's got this little peaked finial. The cap swells out. The clip is cut in to the cap and secured at the top. It's got a Greek key design on the band, which I quite enjoy. And then we'll step down onto the barrel. The barrel tapers. We get this little ring on the end there, like cut into it, and then another peaked end. The cap screws off, and it screws off in about 1 1/3 turns. Reveals a little step down and some threads that are not sharp at all. They're quite nice. A section that tapers with a little Greek key there on the end, and then a black PVD coated steel number 6 nib branded with Ensso USA and M for medium. It also comes in a fine, and there is the plastic feed. It is a standard international cartridge converter pen. So I have it here with the converter that is provided, and also provided with a cartridge. I'm running a little low on ink on there now. But you can also see a little O-ring, and that O-ring is because this pen can be eyedroppered. So that'll give you a really big ink capacity. And my only suggestion is that you put a little bit of silicone grease on those threads. But with that O-ring there, you've got a pretty secure, eyedropping system, especially with this material as well. The Italia model does post, and it posts quite nicely and securely. It's a lightweight pen. This Ultem material is incredibly light. And so the balance of the pen does not change at all when it is posted. The only thing is that you do feel just a little bit those edges there. It's not sharp or rough, and because it's a light pen, you don't really feel it that much. But if you do move the pen in your hand, you will feel that there. But as I said, the size of this pen posted is good in the hand, and the weight of it is absolutely not a worry at all. As I said, Enso is inspired by the Italian, golden age of fountain pens, and this pen is very, very much so. This is the Memento Zero from Leonardo, which is another pen inspired by the Italian golden age. You can see form factors like the peaked finials and the general sort of profile of the pen is quite similar, and it is, obviously it's a different size and different materials and different clips and all those kinds of things. It's not a copy, but you can see they are both heavily inspired by that tradition. So another feature that is really common on Italian Golden Age pens or modern Italian pens is that Greek key feature around the edge of the cap band there. You see that a lot. So that's the basic parts and features of the Enso Italia in the Ultem material. I'm going to do a size comparison now and talk about the dimensions, then do a writing sample. So I've put it alongside the standard Lamy Safari here, but also alongside the titanium Italia, just so you can see how the models sort of line up. It's around the same length as a Lamy Safari, which so it's not a small pen. It's sort of quite a standard size. Uncapped, it's once again same size as the titanium model, a little shorter there than the Lamy Safari. The titanium model used a branded Bock nib. The new one doesn't have a brand, and I wasn't able to find who the nib was made by, but it is just labelled as a German iridium point, which means very, very little. And then posted, as I said, it is still shorter than the Lamy Safari, same as the titanium, but it's a very, very nice size. I find this posted length to be pretty good in the hand. I generally use it unposted. I find it big enough to use in that format, but I have no problem posting it in terms of the weight or anything like that. So as for the dimensions now, for the Enso Italia Ultem fountain pen, we have 139.5 millimeters when it is capped. It is 125.5 when it is uncapped, and it's around 157 when it is posted. The section ranges from about 10 to about 12, just over 12 millimeters in the middle there, and the widest point of the pen is about 15 millimeters. So those are the dimensions if you're wanting to put it in cases and things like that. The pen weighs about 17.5 grams. 11 of that is in the body and 6.5 is in the cap. So it's a lightweight pen, and you are only putting a handful of grams sort of on the back when you are posting it. Okay, let's do this writing sample now with the Enso Italia Ultem fountain pen. So it has a number 6 steel medium nib, and the ink I have in this today is Waterman Serenity Blue. Before I had this ink in here, I had Diamine Writer's Blood in here, which I found to be a really great combination in terms of, the way it wrote, of course, but also just the color combination of this pen. Like a Yamabudo or something like that would also go beautifully in this pen. But for the review here, I have it with Waterman Serenity Blue for you. So there is feedback on this nib. There's no denying that. But it's very much like that pencil feedback we speak about, which is a really hard thing to describe as well. But if you write with the pen, you'll sort of understand the feeling. It's definitely not scratchy. It's smooth, and it's not super dry. Like Waterman Serenity Blue is not the wettest ink going around. And this writes very nicely with it. Quick writing. I have no issues whatsoever. This is reliable, and as I said, it's smooth. It's definitely not scratchy. Just a lot of feedback, which I could probably smooth out. And it would be a very, very, very lovely writing experience. But I quite like that feedback. I really like the unique feeling of this nib. Reverse writing. possible, but very sharp and a little bit scratchy, but it is not, it's not a flex nib. You can push a tiny bit of variation out if you want to, but I actually think the writing experience with this nib is very, very nice. If you like a feedbacky nib, this one is awesome. Reliable, consistent, relatively wet, all those things. I enjoyed it a lot, but it is definitely not scratchy. Just a little bit of feedback on the page. So typical of Ensso, this pen is in a limited run, and they may bring more of them out, they may not. They tend to sort of go in and out of stock on the website, and stock is low as I am filming this. But the pen retails for $115 US, which I think is a fair price point. It is just a steel nib and cartridge converter, all those kinds of things, but it is a beautiful model of pen and in a really interesting and sort of unique material. And as it's not a run of thousands and thousands of this pen, I think a price point around the $115 US mark is actually not a bad place for it to be. So what are the pros and cons? Well, I'm going to start with the cons because they're kind of minor. Firstly, this color isn't going to be for everyone, and this is the only color that Ultem comes in. So if it's not your color, it's not your color. As I said, they do other versions of this pen model, such as the titanium, which is a lot heavier, and it's a pen model worth looking up. Post-production Michael here. I did forget to mention that you do get a little bit of ink between the nib housing and the grip section of this pen. It is common with a lot of pens, but because this material is somewhat translucent, you do see it, and it might not be to everyone's taste. I didn't get any leaks or dripping or any issues with that, but just keep that in mind, and when you clean the pen, just unscrew the housing and give that a wash through as well. The other thing I have, and this is the same with any demonstrator, any clear pen, is that you do get just a little bit of ink splatter and stuff in the nib, and it does show up. The other thing, of course, is with the nature of this material not being like that high polished finish, and I'll show it here because if you touch the nib on the side of the cap as you're capping it, then it actually draws on the inside of the cap, and that's okay. It'll clean off, it washes out just the same as any other ink, but also that clear cap is kind of nice to be able to see the nib through it as well. It's beautiful. But there are tons of pros to go with this pen. I really like the size and the weight of the pen. It's lightweight, but it's not a small pen. It's a sort of a fairly standard average size pen and very, very comfortable because of that. I really, really like this design. This classic sort of inspired design really works for me, and personally I like this color, and I love the combination with the black clip and nib. I think that's a really nice touch. As I said, I had this with Diamond Writer's Blood, which is that kind of like reddy brown burgundy kind of color, something along those lines, or the Yamabudo just in this pen just screams out to me with this color combination, so that's really nice. I like the fact that it's a standard international, always a fan of that, and I love the fact that it comes with a converter. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Any pen that comes with a converter, I shouldn't have to, but, you know, I kind of feel like you have to. Be glad that they did. I really like the unique feeling of this nib. As I said, it's super reliable. I've never had a problem with it hard starting or skipping or anything like that. It's always written consistently. And if not always super wet, it's written consistently. And that's a big, big plus, you know. And I like the feeling of that slightly, you know, toothy feedback on the page. It's kind of fun, and I think that comes a lot from the PVD coating as well. Like, you find that with the Lamy nibs, the plain steel nibs versus the black steel nib, they're not scratchy, but there's a little bit more feedback on them. Another thing I really like about Ensso is that they sort of go for, I wouldn't say a minimalist aesthetic, but they are minimalist in a lot of ways. Including in their packaging. Like, it comes in a simple cardboard box like this, and in the box the pen is in a plastic little Ziploc bag, which also has, you know, the cartridge in it. That's it. You know, like, it's simple, it's clean, there's nothing to it because you don't need more than that. These are not collector's pens. These are users' pens, and that's what I love about this pen and what I love about Ensso. So, this was the Ensso Italia Ultem fountain pen review. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button. if you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support this channel, I would really love to hear from you. A big thank you to Ensso for their continued support of my channel by providing this pen for this review. I have thoroughly enjoyed it so far. It's a really beautiful pen, so big thank you to them. So in the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.